And here we go. And I will also transcribe it. Does it transcribe automatically? Start. There we go. All right. So, I should better share my screen, hadn't I?
Yes, because it's magnificent.
It is magnificent. All right, I'm going to go. Oh my goodness, what's it doing? I don't have a new machine. Why is it asking to do this? All right, let's just hope for the best, people. Okay, can we all see that?
Yes.
Are we seeing my screen?
We sure are.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh.
Can everyone see that? Carla, can you change maybe it's the access on those videos?
Oh my God, I've changed all of them to you and anyone. What are you logged in with? Are you logged in with Kristen?
No, I'm logged in with my EDU account. If you just make them anyone with
I'll
you.
make it anyone. I'll jump in and do it.
Yeah.
Now.
But in the meantime, we can play our introduction. Oh,
welcome to our session. Let's have some fun. Our epic journey has just begun. Let's power up and reach for the sky. With every lesson, watch us fly. So click and learn, let's go team go. It's our online adventure show.
So welcome everyone, and you may have noticed in the corner down here, this is the audio recording. So that is one of my most favorite tricks. Does everyone know that? When you upload an audio recording, you can right click on it and then you can just replace the image. So it keeps it as an audio file, but it has the cool little image. So welcome everyone to our first mid-evening show, and I'm going to ask Rachel to kick us off with the karakia.
Kia ora, thanks Donna. Me karakia tātou. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākina kina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai. E hia ki ana, ake ana, te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei mauri ora.
Thanks, Rachel. So we have decided to change it up a wee bit this month, and we are going to go with a 3, 2, 1, 2, 3 format. So we're going to share 3 tips from a Google Workspace tool each month and try and kind of highlight some things that often get overlooked. Jeremy is going to share a couple of admin console tips for us each month. We're going to share a cool tool that might be from outside of the Google Workspace environment, 2 updates and 3 AI integrations, Q&A, and of course, Steve is going to share some swag with us.
Up first is an incredible segment that offer our 3 top tips for you to take away.
So this month we're focusing on Gmail. So the first tip is my tip, and it's organizing your inbox so that you have your unread emails first. I find that if you have them scattered throughout the conversations, it's really easy to miss an email coming in. So you don't even need to leave your actual inbox homepage. Just in the top right-hand corner, you see the settings icon there. And if you click on that, you can actually change it to unread first from there. And then you have all of your unread sitting at the top. You can deal with them. You can close all the read ones away, or the ones that you have read away, and it just makes you feel a whole lot calmer. So maybe organizing your inbox by unread first might be a small change that you make to your Gmail.
Adding on to the unread first, one of my favorite tools is organizing my stars. So when you go into your settings, you can scroll down in general and there are a whole lot of options for stars. And where you have in use and not in use, you can actually click and drag those to wherever you would like them. So if once I click my mouse once next to an email, the yellow exclamation mark will pop up first. If I click twice, then the blue information will pop up, and you can categorize your emails however you like. I use the I for information that I need to remember or go back to, and exclamation marks for different things, and then I just chop and change. So they're really handy for marking important messages when your unreads are at the top, so you know what category they're in. That's my tip.
Awesome tip. Thank you, Rachel.
Lovely. Well, mine is another one that many of you will know, but it's a firm favourite for me, and it's how to turn your emails into tasks. So once you have got an email, which of course, if I've got an email from Donna, I need to make sure that I follow it up with a task. And so what I can do is I can open my sidebar. If that's not shown on your screen, you can just go down to the bottom right-hand corner, click the little arrow that I've got here, and then your side panel will be visible. When I click add task, I've got this really cool option where I can name different lists. So I've got a list here, GEG tasks. I could have a range of other lists, including parents who love my teaching and want to compliment me on how well I'm doing list of tasks. And so I can add due dates. I can also add notes related to the task. The cool thing is when I click the task later, Gmail will open the original email so I can quickly respond or complete the action. So it's a tip for me to not let things get lost in email.
That is such a useful tip, Carla. I use that myself all the time, and it makes it so easy to get back to an email that I have to do some action around. Really awesome way. Before we move on to the next section, does anyone else have a really handy, quick Gmail tip that they find super useful that's not maybe immediately obvious to people when they open their Gmail? All right, I'm doing well with my teacher wait time. Okay, so moving along.
Your favourite special guest and us. Please welcome Jeremy with his top 2 Google Admin Console tips.
Okay, so is Jeremy on the call? I'm hoping he is.
Jeremy's on the call. Yeah, he's here.
Jeremy's on the call. Are
Where's
you
the
impressed with that,
tuxedo?
Jeremy?
Hey, oh, I didn't get the memo. I should have had the tuxedo on, but regardless, kia ora tātou. Do you want me to jump in, or is sorry?
Yeah, no, you go, Jeremy.
Yeah,
That was
sweet.
your
Awesome.
introduction, and we're waiting for your. Jeremy is amazing. For if people who don't know him, he's an absolute guru on the admin console. So we have deferred to him for his knowledge is way greater than ours.
Awesome, all good. I'll just preface this by saying these tips come from a person who's sort of mostly self-learned and then done some certifications and stuff, but tried and tested in range of different school environments. But I would also suggest that you take any kind of feedback or any ideas that you hear, hold them loosely. Do speak to your schools around what your own individual policies are, because obviously every school's got their own policy. They've got different levels of access given to them by not only leadership, but also I know some schools do delegate the vast majority of their management of the admin console to external providers. So whatever you're going to do, make sure it's in line with your school's policy. The last thing any of us would want would be to hear that people have gone in with good intentions and then made all sorts of changes and things. So do just make sure that you're keeping things above board. All that said, with it being the start of the year, this is always a really good opportunity to take stock of staff who may have left the school, staff who may have joined the school. Obviously, every year we're going to have new students to the school and students who have left. So there's a bunch of different things to think about. I know it's like that slide is quite text heavy, but just when you have a chance to, and when the recording comes out, have a chance to maybe pause it and have a look. But the idea is that basically the fundamental principle is that people who no longer need access to content on your school's domain should no longer have access. And then people who do need to have access have obviously got the right access. So if you've got policies around staff who have left using Google Takeout or sharing things to new email addresses and things like that, again, and whatever's in line with your school policy, adhere to that. And again, a lot of schools have different ideas around when staff and when students leave the school. So some schools choose to reset passwords and leave accounts active. Some like to suspend, some like to move to different organizational units. But whatever it is, basically the idea here is that you want to make sure that people who don't need to have access anymore, don't have access. So however your school decides to do that, make sure that you don't still have all of your year 6s from last year or your year 13s or whoever kids who have left the school. Make sure that access, if it hasn't already been removed, that's actively underway, because you want to make sure that the people who should have access do. hopefully people are familiar with terms like organizational units and things like that. I'm sort of taking that a little bit of an assumption. If you're not, there'll be someone at school who probably looks after the admin console stuff who will understand that. But what I do find it quite helpful is to just move the entire organizational unit of levers to like a levers area, so that you know that they're moved, and on that individual organizational unit you can turn off the Google services so that they can't access stuff anymore, things like that. So yeah, that would be with people who have left the school. In terms of people who have arrived, obviously, hopefully by now, week 5 of the term, people have got the right access that they need, but just things like making sure that they've been moved into a staff organizational unit or a student's one, to make sure that they're getting access to things like Education Plus licenses, which hopefully you're all aware we get funded for us by the ministry. So Google Workspace for Education Plus as a premium license. Obviously, everyone in the world gets Google for Education, but we are fortunate in New Zealand to have Education Plus licenses covered. Yeah, and that's on the next page as well, Steve. Yeah, so making sure that because you only get a limited number of licenses per your current role, so making sure that kids who have left don't have licenses, and that kids that do have them. So yeah, and also I'll just put that last point in there. On that previous slide, there is a small little screenshot that, again, if you get a chance to get you access to the slides, you can zoom in on it. But it's basically one thing to check is in the admin console that you have your Google Classroom settings that only verified teachers are able to make Google Classrooms. And again, that's ultimately you have autonomy in terms of what you want to do, but I would strongly suggest that. Otherwise, you'll get a situation where you get kids creating Google Classrooms, and then it's all a matter of craziness happening behind the scenes that admins have to deal with. So that's one little thing to think about. And moving on to the next slide, again, I think Steve's referenced this in the chat, but there is an email that's been sent to the Techies and Techies for Schools group, which if you are interested in that kind of stuff, you may want to look at joining, because it's a really handy place, not only for Google stuff, but also general techie type discussions. I mean, I will look at things and often keep scrolling if they don't relate to me, or if they're to do with Microsoft stuff. But I'm sorry, that's probably a bad word to say on this call. But yeah, it's a good group to see, and there's all the years and years and years worth of threads that you can look back on if you're interested. But yeah, there is just a note around the way that licensing is going to be managed moving forward. So that's probably a good one to direct your school techie person towards, because there will be a new process around those Education Plus licenses moving forward. And then just, I think we're already on the slide, the idea of looking at custom admin roles. So I know for people, particularly from experience for those in, yes, Michael, yeah. Yeah, particularly for those people who are in primary and intermediate schools, often it's the person who who's got a little bit of enthusiasm around tech stuff that gets lumbered with the role, and you may not necessarily have capacity to do everything. What I always suggest people look at is where there's the possibility of creating a custom admin role for someone else who may be able to carry some of that load. And the example on that screenshot you can see there is where we have gone to people within our teaching teams, maybe one per team, of a person who might be able to have limited level of access to the admin console to be able to do things like reset passwords. And to be clear, they're not the super admin, so they can't access every single setting from the whole domain, but they have limited access, and that basically means that when they log into the admin console, they put their password and all they can see is what they need to see, and all they can do is what they need to do. So you as the super admin, or whoever the person is who manages things, can set that up, and it basically means that you can help to distribute some of that load around. Another one that's really helpful, that's sort of been around for about a year or so now, is the visitor classroom custom admin role that you can set up. And that basically means for anyone who is in like a middle leadership role or senior leadership, or like maybe like a specialist or a regular reliever who doesn't necessarily want to be added to every single Google Classroom page in the entire domain, but needs to be able to access Google Classrooms, what you can do is you can set it up so that they can just drop into a classroom nice and easily, gives them full access for 2 hours. And what it means is that they can then go in and whether it be adding work in for a class, if there's a reliever in there or something, maybe if you're a senior leader, or if you're a reliever yourself, able to drop in, do what you need to do in the class, and then the access is then removed after 2 hours. So I think on the next slide there is a little video. Yes, these slides are just showing the process of how to set that up from within the admin console. But on, I think it's slide 15, in the bottom corner, there's a little video that I've recorded that just sort of walks you through that. So if that's something that that your school has set up or is interested in setting up, that the little video in the next in the bottom corner will help you do the business of how that works. So yeah, I'm mindful that some people's eyes glaze over when we talk about admin-y type stuff. So I'm mindful of not overwhelming people hopefully too much. If you do have any questions, my contact details are on the next slide. So if you do want to maybe chat offline, maybe if you've got questions but don't want to put it on a recorded call, please do feel free to reach out to me. I'm totally happy to chat with people and give people advice, or even jump onto a call and chat with you and your person if they need some more guidance on things. And again, this is all coming from someone who's just sort of learnt by jumping in and having a play and having a go. I don't speak on behalf of Google or anything like that. It's literally just what I found to be useful and as much as possible in line with what would be considered best practice. So yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks, Jeremy. That is really super helpful. I think all that conversation around giving other people some roles in the admin console. I know at a previous school, we were one of the super admins having to organise it, and being able to let teachers change students' passwords or help with students' passwords was a huge time saver, because it stopped all those students coming to us going, we don't know our password, or we need to change our password, and if the teacher themselves can do it. And I see Steve's just dropped in a link to an admin intro course, which is awesome. Thanks, Steve. That might be really helpful for some people. Any questions for Jeremy before we move along on our nightly mid-evening show? Oh, thanks, Michael. He's dropped in a great link too.
No,
yeah, and
you go, we're just that. No,
you go, mate. Sorry. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'll go for it.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, and again, just to stress the fact that with all this stuff, make sure you're operating within policy and making sure that you're doing things in line with whatever your school is, the way that the school has set things up, because it's things can unravel, and I've seen it happen if people are armed with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of can do and with the right intention. Sometimes things can go wrong. So make sure you are speaking to people that you report to or have key decision makers before you go ahead and make changes in the admin console, because it can have a big on-flow effect if things just made on a whim. But yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. That's really awesome. All right, moving along.
It's now time for our One Cool Tool segment.
And what might that tool be, one wonders. All right, so what we want to, or not want to highlight, but something that's just come up recently, a new tool available, is the ability in Brisk to be able to create a Kahoot straight from a document. So I gave this a go the other day. The screenshots, I will acknowledge, come from the Brisk help page themselves. So I know I've got the right information there. But if you've got, maybe you've done a piece of work with your students and maybe it's a vocabulary test, or maybe it's testing some concepts around something that you've been studying. If you have a document and you have Brisk installed, and if anyone is new to Brisk, it is a Chrome extension that you install on your Chrome browser. Then it allows you to use AI tools on many different platforms. Free and paid version, as always with these tools, but the ability to send your information into Kahoot is in the free version. And so you open up the resource that you want to create a quiz for the kids from, you click create, you choose quiz, you can even choose the New Zealand standards. Brisk has the New Zealand curriculum embedded within it. It does pay. My biggest tip is to have your Kahoot account open before you start the process. So once you've opened Brisk, you've chosen Create, you select the quiz, then you get a little drop-down box that lets you select Kahoot. Then you can customize your quiz for grade, remembering that it's American, so go down one level. So if you're year 5, you would choose grade 4. If you're year 6, you choose grade 5. You can choose how many questions you want. And then when you generate your quiz, it opens automatically in Kahoot and it formats all the questions for you. You can go in and completely edit that Kahoot once it's formatted. You can add images and things like that into it. But in terms of saving time and being able to use multiple resource types to create a Kahoot, I think it's a real time saver for teachers. I try not to use Kahoot too often with my kids because I think they get a bit stale on it. To be honest, this is my opinion, not, they love Kahoot. But being able to create it this way was just super easy. So just wondering, has anyone else tried creating a Kahoot straight from Brisk? Nope. If you use Kahoot with your students and you have a Brisk account, highly recommend that might be one cool thing that you give a go this month. All right, moving on.
Please welcome Steve, who will be a regular guest sharing his top 2 Google updates with us.
All right, Steve, are you ready?
Well, not sure how I feel about that outfit, but okay, fair enough. All right, good. Okay, I'm going to jump into my first update. If you just click whoever's got the little clicker, if you just click the little song there, which is a bit of an earworm.
Let's get agentic.
Welcome.
Agentic. Time to take the lead. Yeah. Time to play.
There we go. So that was a little bit of the
no
music.
more waiting on the sidelines. Gonna make some new headlines. Let's get
Did you want me to stop it, Steve?
No, go back. Yeah, that's good. So that was created with Lyria. It's in Gemini now, so 30 seconds with video as well. So there you go. Let's get agentic. So Workspace Studio has completed its rollout now, and Donna, you're going to love this one. It's available for Standard, Education Plus, and Education Fundamentals. There you go. So that's
I may have already made a workflow, Steve.
Brilliant. I love it. So this is available for all of the different flavors of Workspace for Education. So its ability to create agents that sit inside your Drive, your Gmail, your Docs, your Sheets, anything you want, basically. So there's a couple of examples in the top right that I've created. So notify me when a new response is added to a sheet, and it can be a specific response as well. Auto creating tasks when a file is added to a folder. So for instance, someone uploads a new file to our classroom folder. So in Google Classroom, there is a classroom folder. If I choose the folder for my year 12 geography class, then I have a Workspace Studio flow that will let me know that someone's uploaded something new to that folder. I can either get it to send me a Google chat or an email, or just add it to a doc as well. So really nice for things if you want to know if something's been added to something, if you want to know if something's been handed in, if you want to know if something has happened to a file. So someone's downloaded it, someone's added to it. You can set up an agent to do that for you. Daily summary of unread emails. So at 6 o'clock at night, if I have any unread emails left, I will get a little notification saying there are these. This one looks urgent. This one talks about this. So it will give me a little summary of my unread emails. If you don't want it every night, do it on a Friday afternoon. Then the last one is, so after a meeting, it will draft a summary of what was talked about in the meeting, because I use Gemini to take notes for me. Then it will give me my action items, let me know what was talked about, and add things to my tasks as well when these things need to be done. Yeah, perfect, Jeremy. Yeah, you can add all sorts of ways around here. Another really excellent use I've seen with this is if someone fills in a form and puts in a specific word or gives a rating of lower than, say, 3 out of 5, then it will notify you about that as well. Someone fills in a feedback form at school, requesting information or something, it'll let you know. So you can set agents for lots of things. On the left-hand side shows you some of the pre-created ones, but they are very much a click and snap together to make them. You can actually say to Gemini at the beginning, make me a workspace flow that lets me know when someone gives me a lower than 3 reply on this form, and it'll build the whole flow for you. So Workspace Studio, you can probably see it very first on your Gmail. At the top, there'll be a new little flows icon. You can also go to Workspace Studio, studio.workspace.google.com to find the bit you can see on the left. So that's that one.
Steve, just before you move on, 2 things. I have mine set up to send it to chat. And then what happens is down in the bottom left-hand corner, I just have a really tiny icon with a small dot in it that tells me that there is something that I need to attend to. So it's a really nice way to be able to know the agent's done some work without having a massive big notification in your face. So getting send it to chat's a good idea.
Yes.
And somebody might have a question. You mentioned that you get Gemini to take notes for you in your meeting. Can you quickly tell us how?
That is a paid feature. So Gemini inside of Meet takes notes for me. Gemini will transcribe a call for you if you have Workspace Plus. So transcription has come into Workspace Plus now. So those of you who have Workspace Plus covered by the ministry get transcription included. The one I've got, which is the paid version, takes notes. So it gives me bullet pointed notes. The other thing I do on a call is because I'm on a Chromebook, I've got a Chromebook Plus, so I just use my recorder app, and that notes all the different names of the speakers and transcribes it for me. I grab that doc, I whack it into a flow, and I do the same thing. So I either get it via Gemini or I get it via my Chromebook, one of the 2 different ways.
Cool, thanks, Steve. All right, moving on.
All right, sorry, no video, no song around this one. But awesome update, and I've talked about it at the end of last year with lots of people. So the ability now to add voice and video directly inside a classroom. So no more third-party add-ons. You can see there in the picture, there is a little button where you just hit record. You can record a video, you can record your voice. You can add those to announcements, to assignments, to student work as feedback. So those are the 3 places you can add it. Also, if you allow them, students can use voice feedback and video feedback as well. When you give a student, say, an assessment, might be an essay, you could then say you'll also want them to hand in a 1-minute video on what they learnt and what was the hard bit and what was the easy bit about writing the video. So a really nice way to do that kind of quick check-in about the work being theirs as well. You can also just set an assignment that is a video upload for them or a voice upload. So in classroom, also in the work that gets handed in classroom as well. So a really fantastic update there. And Donna, you'll see down the bottom.
And available to who? Yes.
To everybody. So fundamentals, standard, and plus, and teaching and learning upgrade. So teaching and learning upgrade, remember, you can purchase 1 teaching and learning upgrade license just for yourself if you want it. And you now get all the same teaching and learning features as plus. So that's a big update to teaching and learning upgrade as well. So those are my 2 favorite updates. I did have a list of about 40, but those 2 I'll stick to tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. It was pretty mean making you choose just 2, but
that's okay. It's good for me. It's good for me.
All right. So we've done 3, 2, 1, 2. So now we're back to 3 for the next section, which is...
It is now time for our ideas for AI uses in education segment.
And no guesses for the first one being Gemini Music, which we have used a few times already. So that ability to be able to generate 30 seconds of music for specific contexts is really helpful. So I ran a maths seminar on Saturday at the Primary Maths Association Seminar Day. I just gave it the link. I gave Gemini the link to my slide deck that I was going to share with teachers and asked it to create an appropriate little intro music. And what it did was amazing. It pulled out some of the concepts, it pulled out some of the vocabulary, And it was a really catchy way to start the workshop. So lots of different ways that you can do it. Steve, can students is this available to students if they have Gemini in their education account as well?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't think it is, because some of the more generative features aren't available to under 18s at the moment. Images weren't originally, now they are. So this may or may not be, but let me double check, because I'll jump into one of my student accounts and have a little look for you while we're chatting.
Okay, thanks. Because, I could see some great ways of students being able to kind of synthesize and summarize their thinking as well. But once it's created your track, and interestingly enough, when I tried to do the one for the intro for tonight, it would not create me a track because it did not like one of the words that was in the deck. So I had to take the word out, and then it took me a while to find out which word it was, and then it made me the track. But you could choose the type of music. So when you choose that you want to create music, you can see in the middle there that it gives you some different genres that you can choose. Then it will create it, and you can download it as either a little video, so it gives you like just an image holder for the video, or you can download it as an MP3 and then use it somewhere else. So I actually downloaded it and put the image into Vids, and then brought the soundtrack into Vids and combined the two there as well. So lots of ways that you might be able to inspire your students just with creating some bespoke 30-second tracks. Thanks, Jeremy. He's going to have a look in his student account too. So while they're having a look, we'll move on to the next one. And I'm waiting for Rachel to jump in with this one.
Me, I didn't
That's
put it
me.
in, but yes.
Who was that one? It was Steve. That was Steve. All right.
Classic.
Go, Steve.
So last year we ran an AI fellowship in New Zealand. There were some amazing people in that fellowship, and they created some awesome work. And this link here takes you to all the work they published. So what we have here is a video description sitting on YouTube, and on the right hand side is a guidebook on how to do the thing they did. So you might recognize some of the wonderful names that I can see on this call already. So if you go to that link, you can have a look at what our AI fellowship fellows created last year. We did about a 14-week course, worked really closely together. Some people worked very closely and had some amazing arguments about their work, which is brilliant, or positive feedback. But if you want to have a look at the work of the New Zealand AI Fellows, go to that link and it's all on there.
Thanks, Steve. That is a great collection with some really great projects in it, and some great ideas of how you can create kind of differentiated and personal content for your classes too, which is really helpful. All right, the next one is Rachel, I'm pretty sure.
Sure is, Donna. One of my favorite tools inside Gemini is guided learning. So you can access guided learning straight with just within Gemini, but you can also access it through Google Classroom through Gemini. So guided learning pretty much takes your kids through a guided learning process. Who would have thought? Because that's what it's called. So instead of just giving them the answer, it actually guides them through the topic or the question that they ask. So just some examples that I've put in there, really different. I tried to think of a English example because everyone always goes for science and maths because, you know, those are quite structural and you can have black and white answers. So the first question was, can you help me get started on an essay about the New Zealand land wars? And the response was, to help us narrow down a focus for your essay, I'll guide you through the process with some questions. We can explore this topic through a few different lenses. So instead of just telling the kids all the information, it's going to guide them through. The next question was, please help me understand the nature of DNA as the universal molecule of inheritance. That one popped up. Also, which of these areas would you like to start with? And it gave a little illustration as well. So have a play with guided learning. I've taught myself a few tricks with that, so that's pretty awesome as well.
Thanks, Rachel. Steve's just said no music generation for students, so it's something that you would use as a teacher. And Rachel, the guided learning, is that available to if it's through Google Classroom for primary school students, or is it just something that's available to secondary school students?
Oh, that's a Steve question, Donna. Sorry.
Steve, sorry. Steve, I'm directing that question at you.
No, you're all good. That is
school now, so I
available for
don't know.
students. No, it's available for students.
Awesome.
And it's also now available. If you build a gem, you can choose the default engine. So if you build a gem, you can actually say that guided learning is the engine that will run the gem. You can then fire that into Classroom as well. So it will only behave in the guided learning mode.
So, Steve, am I right in thinking, sorry, I just want to clarify this. So for anyone who's watching the recording or listening, it's available through Google Classroom, which means it's available to primary school students if they so wish to use it, but they're using it within Google Classroom.
So no, so this would be, this is Gemini just by itself.
Right.
If you build a gem, you can put the gem into Classroom, or you can also, if you create the beginning of a guided learning discussion, you could share that discussion and put it into Classroom as well. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. The one that is probably the one that's most easy to manage is via Classroom, because there are a whole lot of analytics that go along with that as well.
Right. And so if I share it through Classroom, can my students share their conversation? So can they share me a link to their conversation so I can see what they've been asking and how the conversation's flowing?
Yes, so you can. So that's a new update as well. So students can create a conversation link and share it back with you so you can see what they've been doing.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Steve. Really helpful. So those are our 3 AI uses, but I know, Carla, you didn't get to put one in. Is there one that you want to share with us as a bonus? Because talk shows always have a bonus. So this might be our bonus.
No, this was one thing that I took off my to-do list today with gratitude to Steve. Thank you.
All right. So we've gone 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. And so now we are at... Now we are at the suspense is killing people. Why is it not playing? Technical difficulty there, people. One moment. It doesn't seem to want to play. No, it's not going to play, Carla. It was so good too, because it was the introduction to our questions. So when you get the slideshow, I'm sure it might play for you. We only had 2 questions in the form this month. We had somebody asking about Gemini AI certificate for educators. Has anyone done it? So I've done it and it was very helpful and very useful. Has anyone else done it and would like to share their thoughts around it? Steve, you might want to talk to this one.
Yeah, sure. So I've done the AI certificate for the educator. I've done the intro. So the intro one kind of talks generally about AI. Then this one, the second one, is more about how to use AI as an educator. I've also done the student certification and the higher education one and the higher education student one as well. I've done all of them. It's a really nice one that you read, you answer some quizzes as you go, and then when you get to the end, you get a little certification. So it's a really nice way to get a baseline level for everyone at your school. There are some schools who I know say everyone does that. Once you've done that, then you get your license to go use Gemini, and even starting to use it with some of the senior students. Do the student certification. Once you've done that, then we'll switch it on for you. So yeah, it's a good certification.
Sorry, realised I was muted. Jessica has mentioned that the certificates expire. Is that correct, Steve?
All the certifications expire after some time. I know the certified educator ones are 3 years. I'm not sure how long the AI certificate for Gemini is, but you know, the idea that you get a certificate once and then you've got it forever is not ideal in my personal opinion. So yeah, they will all expire after some time.
And I think Rachel's point to the speed that technology is changing is probably something to think about too, in terms of those certifications, that what was 3 years ago is not necessarily what is now. So yeah, I think that's quite a good point. But I think also for me, I didn't really do it for the certification. I did it for what don't I know and what am I missing and what could be helpful for me. So sort of coming from that angle too can sometimes be really helpful when you're doing those certification and things. And the other question was around, yes, bachelor teaching is forever.
Unless you don't do your certification every year or your registration. So
yeah, well, that's true, actually.
I've sadly just lost mine.
Yeah, we do have to read. That's a good point.
If I ever go back to the classroom. Yeah.
Oh no, Steve, that sucks. Yeah, we do have to recertify every 3 years, don't we? So yeah. And the other question was how to use Gemini with my year 4s. So Steve, you've already touched on Gemini in classroom. At my school, our year 4s wouldn't be using Gemini. And nor are some of our other students, but let's not go there. But I think our focus for us in the primary years is actually getting students to understand what AI is and how it works at a very simplified level so that they have that basis of understanding that it's a machine, it's making a prediction, it's working on a mathematical model, it's not human, it's not their friend, we don't give it names, we don't give it human qualities. So we're spending those early years instilling that understanding of AI and what it is and how it works so that when they get to year 7 and they start using these more open large language models, they will hopefully be using it critically and ethically because they'll have the understanding of what's working in the back end. We do use quite a few Google Arts and Culture activities to help the students to understand how the AI is working, like say what you see and odd one out and those kinds of games, quick draw, auto draw, that kind of thing. And I do actually have, I have just done a presentation on exactly that, what we are doing in our foundational years with AI literacy, which I'm happy to share if anybody would like those resources. So just either flick me an email or a message and I'm happy to share that out. But there might be some other people who are using Gemini or other things with the year 4s. Would anyone like to add to the conversation? Yeah, and Michael's just pointed out Day of AI have some cool resources which has just been released. So there is a Day of AI link. Michael, you might be able to grab it and we could drop that in. And if you click on that link, then you will be able to get access to Day of AI resources, which is super handy, not just for your primary school, right across the school, but it's another great resource. Jordan, go for it.
Apologies for the background noise. I'm dealing with 3D printers. For me, I teach year 5, and I think the big thing is letting them become familiar with the idea of AI as an assistant, but also having those conversations about the fact it's not perfect all the time has been a big one with my littlies. And Donna, I think this is a great opportunity to point out all the things you did in your project. Donna's project did a lot of work with arts and culture, and those are really fun, even as a grown-up, to go and play the little games. But I do a lot of conversation. We talk about it and how I use it, and I will openly say to them, I've made this with AI, and the first time it made it, this was a mistake it made. What did it do wrong? And then we have a conversation about it because I want them to know it's not perfect and it is going to make mistakes. But in regards to them using it, we don't have it available for any children in our school at this point because the teachers need to be confident in utilizing it and how they're going to deliver it before we worry about the kids touching it. So I think it's one of those things where talk to them about it, but don't give them a tool like Gemini and expect them to be able to use it and it to work.
Thanks, Jordan. That's really helpful. Anyone else want to add to the conversation? Jeremy,
Donna,
go.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Carla, you go.
It's the tuxedo that made you a gentleman, isn't it? So no, my point was only that some of the discussions that are really important even at that age are where AI have been integrated into tools that they do use, but they might not know it's AI. So that could be as simple as like some of the chatbot functionality and features that are used in ways their parents might be talking to different services and getting frustrated with it. That might be the integration into tools like Book Creator and the way that they can have an understanding of it. But if we keep talking about it as a separate thing rather than recognizing how it's embedded into other tools, it can cause confusion too.
Go, Jeremy.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, I'll put it in the chat too, but yeah, like for example, last year when Gemini was turned on by default and admins had to get in and go and turn it off if they didn't want access, I made the decision with leadership at the school I was at to, and we were a Google reference school, so like we're trying to do things as liberally as possible with Google stuff, but we made the decision to make sure that each class had done like some sort of an induction or an introductory type session, like heavily aimed around AI ethics and responsible use, and not like in general terms, but also what it looked like in our school. And so I took one of the like, you know, Steve might be able to add some context, but Google put out a slide deck with some accompanying resources and things last year around ethical responsible use, and I basically contextualized that to our school and talked about like our ICT agreement and the fact that, like, you know, it says one of the things, it says that like, as well as all the positive stuff that you start with around, like, you know, making sure you're doing the right thing at the right time, also saying like actually what you and your parents have agreed to is around the fact that you're not going to use generative AI and then claim it as your own work and things like that, and had like a really big discussion around that with the kids before we actually jumped straight into it, because that's yeah, that would definitely be my suggestion around like and that's intermediate school level, let alone anything younger, because I think starting with jumping straight in without thinking about the without talking about the ethical implications first, I think is not necessarily the best way to go. But yeah, so the best takeaway I would say would be to have that ethical conversation and think about what it means for us, because yeah,
Thanks, Steve.
as has been said.
I'm promoting you. Thanks, Jeremy. I think you raised a really good point there when you talked about your school's policy. I think it's really important too that whatever you're doing with AI or whatever you're talking about with your student, that it fits with your school's AI policy. And if you're not sure what your school's policy is, then you need to go and check that first. And if you discover that your school doesn't have a policy, then that's a road that maybe your school needs to look into. But I think being guided by your school's policies is also a really good situation to consider. And yeah, those conversations about is it right? I had some interesting conversations with some year 9s just the other day about, was it right for an author's book to be added to a training data set without their permission and then used in a large language model? And we had some incredibly interesting discussions around that and some really interesting ideas. So I think there's definitely a lot of work to be done around that ethics and critical thinking, security, safety, all that kind of thing.
And I think
anyone else? Yep.
Michael made a great point before. It's got to be a pedagogy, not about a tool. And it's, I remember, because I've been teaching for a very long time, having calculator lessons in maths class. And it was like, what's the point of this? It's to learn how to use the calculator. Great. That's a really great lesson to have. However, we're not just going to use AI for using this for the sake of saying we're using AI. What's it helping? What's it doing? How's it being additive? We're not just going to use a shiny ball, you know, if there is a shiny ball bouncing around, even though I'm the worst example of that. So yeah, it's very much of what can it do for us? What can it add? Otherwise, it's just a shiny ball.
Yeah, really good point, Steve. And I also think that we need to consider our teachers in this, because I don't think that we're ready to be using it with our students unless our teachers are ready and have that understanding and can answer those questions that you just said, Steve. I think that's really important as well. And Steve's also added a link in there to an Understanding AI resource for juniors aimed at year 3 to 8. So if you didn't see that in the chat, you might want to go back and grab that link. Okay, great discussion, team. I love discussing things like this. We could go on for ages, but it is 7:20 and I know people need to go and have their dinner, and we are so appreciative of you giving up your time to be here. So our next segment, I'm pretty sure, is the one that everyone absolutely loves, maybe except for Steve. And
We would love your feedback to help us create mid-evening GEG shows that work for you.
because if you put your feedback in, you know what's going to happen. Carla or Rachel are going to drop in the link to the feedback, and you know that if you give feedback, then your name goes into a drawer. And Steve, how much swag do we have to give away this time?
Oh, let's do 3. 3's a lucky number.
3's a lucky number. Okay, so we are just waiting on the link. Carla or Rachel, you're going to save the day for me here. Oh, it's in there? Can you post it again so it comes? Oh, sorry, mine didn't scroll down. Thank you, Carla. Never doubted you for a moment. So if you click on that feedback, we should have made some music, 30 seconds of music to play while people have, well, we do have another 30 seconds. But
I made an awesome 30-second about Notebook LM and how to use it. It was very exciting.
Was it? Do we need to hear it at some stage, Steve?
Probably not.
All right. So if we don't currently have, oh yes, we have 2 names in there. So I'll just give you a few more minutes to put a few more names in there. Or it might just be that it goes to those 2. And perhaps while we are waiting, oh, we've got 3. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add to our discussion, or anything else that maybe we haven't raised or they would like to raise or ask a question about? A burning question that they might have that's got nothing to do with what we talked about, but they'd like to discuss it.
Just noting too, I put it in the chat, but you can get Google Vault can retain Gemini searches as well. So that would be worthwhile as a layer of checks and balances for if your kids are using Gemini actively, having a system whereby you go into Vault and run a report on the responses and just run your eyes over it just to make sure that there's nothing spicy in there. But that's been something that I've tried to do on an ongoing basis, just to make sure that we're setting our kids up for a win.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And actually, while we're waiting for people, I have a question that is completely unrelated to anything that we talked about. With these Google Chrome QR codes, you used to be able to use Google Lens, drag it around it, and it would send you to the URL. Now when I do it, it tells me it's a dinosaur, and it doesn't give me the URL. Is anyone else finding that with their updated Chrome? That Jeremy's going to try it, I can see. I'd love to know if it's just me, because I can't seem to get it to read QR codes anymore. Oh, awesome. We have we have 11 names in there now. So I will wait 1 more minute for any latecomer, and then I will copy the names into my self-coded spinner that I made earlier, which I can't show you because it wouldn't open in its own tab, but it's open in the coding tab. Okay, so last call for names, and then we're going to spin for 3. Jeremy, have you worked out whether it's going to read your QR code? All right, here we go. I'm going to spin the wheel.
Just telling me it's a QR code.
All right, I'm spinning the wheel. And the first name that comes up is Nathan. Well done, Nathan. You get this week's swag. Next name is Sarah. Congratulations, Sarah. Swag is coming your way. And the last winner of swag this week is Kylie Wilson. Well done, Kylie. Great that it's going to some new names. That's awesome. So, Steve, what's easiest? If people email you their email Steve? Do you want to
email me and let me know? So email address is edusteve@google.com. And I will get some. If you just flick me your name and your address, please, because that'll make it easier. And then I can fire you out some swag.
Awesome. So EDU Smith. No, say that again, Steve.
EDUC. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Congratulations, those people. Thank you, Rachel. And so
No game show would be complete without swag. Let's do the lucky prize draw.
we are so good. We are on to it. We're not going to play the last 30 seconds because we're at 7:25 now, and Rachel is going to close for us. So you can play that if you when you get the slides. But Rachel, if you'd like to close for us.
Kia ora tātou. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Me karakia tātou. Kia whakairea te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia turuki whakataha ai, kia turuki whakataha ai, haumie, huie, taikie. Go well, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rachel. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We really appreciate you giving up your time because we know time is precious and teachers are busy. So thank you for joining us this month, and we will see you next month. I will stop the recording.
Nice to see your names, Raylene and Reshma. Can't wait to catch up.